What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, a 3-year review of the Apple AirPods Pro. Now, the design hasn't changed much over the last 3 years, so I haven't bought the new pair yet, but they look exactly like this except for a couple of differences. That being said, if you're in the market this year for or buying a gift such as the AirPods Pro for somebody, this is a good video to watch because, like I said, the design hasn't changed much. They're practically the same. So this should be a pretty good long-term review if you're thinking about buying them for someone, whether they're worth it or not, and or if you're buying this for yourself, whether they're worth it or not. So after 3 years, let me just start off by saying there are new AirPod Pro, the second generation. I need to upgrade to them, but one thing is holding me back. So, with the new AirPods Pro, they have a lot of great features, but one of them focuses on better noise cancellation. The AirPods Pro are great for noise cancellation. I would probably prefer having the second generation for better noise cancellation. But in reality, what I'm looking for, I think, what I wish Apple will do for the next generation is make them safe to use in loud environments. So wherever you are, if you're working in a construction zone, if you're biking down the street with loud cars passing you, something truly noise isolating that without needing noise cancellation, they can, or maybe with noise cancellation, can lower those decibel levels from, say, 60 or 70 decibels, which is what you encounter walking down the roadway, riding your bike down the roadway, living in a busy city. And if it could take those loud decibel levels and bring them down to like in the 50s or the 40s and still allow you to make phone calls, maybe not listen to music or podcasts, like maybe there would be like some kind of professional mode that you could set them to, like an AirPods Pro professional mode, where it would like actively protect your hearing. That is one feature I want to see on the next AirPods Pro. And the current AirPods second generation, yes, they do offer benefits for noise cancellation, but if you read more into it, it's just software. And also, they don't necessarily advertise protection against loud environments. They don't advertise protection against hearing damage or hearing loss. That is something I would like to see with an AirPods Pro third generation. And the reason I have not yet upgraded to the second generation. So the second generation and the first generation AirPod Pro look exactly alike. The AirPod Pro second generation have MagSafe charging. This first generation charge case is wireless. It does not have MagSafe. The second generation case also comes with a lanyard hole. This first generation case does not have that. Are those things useful? Sure. But like I said, I'm waiting for professional hearing protection, which I think is important. Apple already has a decibel level built into the iPhone and the AirPods, so you can protect your hearing. But why not go a step further? I don't see that with the second generation. That's something I'd like to see with the third generation. But okay, let's talk about a normal 3-year review of the AirPods Pro. And since the second generation and the first generation are the same, I didn't see a need to upgrade. There really isn't a need to upgrade. And I think this first generation, the fact that they still work is testimony that the first generation will, or the second generation will last you 3 years, because I bought these actually the day that they were released. I pre-ordered them on Apple's website and got them a week and a half later. This was the very first series of AirPods Pro, and I've had them for 3 years. The case is the original case you see here, but actually each AirPod has been replaced because they did have issues with rattling. If you drop them, they will rattle. Not sure if that is an issue with the second generation or not, but it was an issue that I've encountered with the first generation. Eventually, I gave up on getting them replaced because it's hard to not drop them, and it's time consuming to just go to the Apple store time and time again and get them replaced. So eventually I said, you know what, forget it. I'll use them how they are. And once I kind of let go of them, even though they do sound like crap, I can still enjoy my music somewhat, but they are kind of scratchy and not very good. Sometimes the microphone works, sometimes it doesn't. That might be software related, but when I need them, they work. And I can still rely on them to, just listen to music on the bus and stuff, or around the house. And sometimes I even work on the computer. And you know what? I'm not like a serious audiophile, so they work for me. But yeah, could they sound better? Absolutely. Am I losing out on that Adobe Atmos listening experience? Absolutely, because these are basically broken. They still work. Both the left and right work, but they are just scratchy sounding from having dropped them a few times. But they still work, so I keep them. Otherwise, that's another thing I wanted to talk about actually was, yes, they both work, but actually one other thing I've noticed is the right earbud dies at roughly 50%, and then the left earbud keeps going. So there's actually like a discrepancy in the actual percentage, because the left one will continue working and the right one will stop. So yeah, that is an issue you might encounter. Like I said, I did have issues when I would drop them, like if I was taking them out of the case or maybe putting them back in the case and I would drop them on the floor, they would eventually start rattling. They would develop this rattling sound. And I had this issue like twice. And Apple was really cool and replaced them. But because I was constantly replacing them from dropping them, um, I think what eventually happened was the left earbud was the newer one and the right earbud is the older one. And so now the left one dies faster than the right one. But I will say this, kudos to Apple and their phenomenal, warranty, because hey, 3 years later and I've still got a pair of AirPods Pro. But so anyway, that's my 3-year review of the AirPods Pro. This is the first generation. I've had them for 3 years. If you're looking at picking these up for a loved one, or maybe picking them up for yourself for travel, I definitely recommend them. Apple's warranty, if you have any issues with them, they will likely replace them, and that will ensure being able to use them for 2 to 3 years. They're expensive. They're $200. They're a really good device. In fact, safe to use, and as an added element of safety, I highly recommend purchasing something like this for a loved one so that they have a hands-free calling experience. But I digress. The first generation, I've had them for 3 years. They're starting to go. They're dying a little bit. They still work, but just they have that patina to them of having used them and owned them and dropped them for the past 3 years. But they still work. And I would upgrade to the second generation Pro, but what I really want is hearing protection. I haven't seen that yet with the second generation or any of the AirPods in Apple's AirPod lineup. And I think that is something they could bring to the Pro and something I would like to see in the third generation. Actual cold, hard, concrete safety measures for protecting your hearing. I think Apple is capable of doing that with the AirPods Pro, and that's the reason I haven't upgraded to the second generation Pro, and because, hey, the first generation still work. All right, guys, that has been my 3-year review of the AirPods Pro. That like button, subscribe, comment down below for more. I will see you in the next video.